Welcome to week 25 of our piano adventure. This week is a special week because it is our final week that we will be looking at triplets and eighth note syncopation. Next week, we are going to begin our journey into 16th notes. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it's actually not going to be that bad. Believe it or not, if you break down 16th notes in the right way, it's a very accessible thing, okay? We're also going to be finishing up our dominant seventh drill today. So also starting next week, we'll be moving on to a new sound, and that will be the minor 7 sound, okay? And then after that, we're going to look at one last blues arrangement, right? We're in the dominant 7th section of the curriculum, right? So when in Rome, we're going to do some blues, all right? So today will be our last blues, but today our blues is going to have a little bit more structure. It's going to be arranged more like you might see in a big band, right? So this is a blues with a little bit more structure, and as the name alludes, there are going to be some elements of the famous jazz pianist Count Basie in there. We'll talk more about that when we get there, but let's go ahead and get warmed up on the drum. Today, our week 25 rhythm warm-up will be our last warm-up that features the mixture of just eighth note syncopation and triplets. Starting next week, we will begin our unit on 16th notes, so that's going to be great. But let's go ahead and get started today on line 1. We'll have the metronome on 40 BPM. It will be the upbeats. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Top line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Let's move to line 2. We'll speed our metronome up to 45 BPM. It's still going to be on the upbeats. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Switch hands. Top line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we have it. All right, we're going to speed up to 50 BPM now, and we'll have the metronome on halftime. So while we are going at 50 BPM, the metronome will be clicking at 25 BPM, and we will imagine the clicks of the metronome on the upbeats of the 1 and the 3 for line 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hands together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And last but not least, let's speed up to 60 BPM for ourselves, metronome at half time on 30 BPM, and now we will imagine the clicks on the upbeat of the 2 and the 4. Here we go, line 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Hands together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Let's head back to the piano. For our final unit on dominant 7th chords, today we'll be looking at A flat dominant 7, E flat dominant 7, and B flat dominant 7. Let's go ahead and put those on the keyboard. We'll get started with our A flat dominant 7 scale today, and we'll do our inversions in the right hand. Here we go. Let's do our inversions in the left hand. And finally, we'll do our one single chord with both of our hands together. Okay, now let's figure out the A flat Mixolydian scale. A flat is the 5 of D flat. So we're going to play the D flat major scale. Except we're going to start on A flat and play from A flat to A flat. Remember, this is a very easy scale because it's all 5 black keys and you only have to remember F and C. So we'll put the chord in our left hand and the scale in our right hand. And when you do it that way, we get that nice flat T that lines up with the chord right there. Excellent, piece of cake. Let's check out E flat dominant 7. We'll do the inversions with our right hand. Here we go. Let's do one chord, hands together. And then let's talk about E flat Mixolydian. E flat is the 5 or the so of the scale we just played, A flat major. So we're going to play A flat major now. Except now we're going to play those notes from E flat to E flat. like this with the chord in our left hand. And you get those flat sevens to line up together. Let's do it in our left hand. Fantastic. Notice I got my thumbs a little mixed up there, but it's okay, right? They can share. And now let's look at our B flat dominant 7th scale. Okay, so we'll start with our right hand inversions. Left hand inversions. One chord between both of our hands. And finally, let's think about B flat is the so of E flat. So we're going to play E flat major, but now we're going to play those same notes from B flat to B flat with a B flat dominant 7th chord in our left hand. Get those flat 7s. Try it the other way around. Okay, let's talk about today's piece that I wrote for us called Basically Blues. All right, so this is more of my attempt to simulate a larger blues arrangement than just a chart that you might have at like a gig or on a jam session or on your own, right? Where you're kind of just creating the arrangement off the top of your head. But a lot of times we do play blues that are fully arranged and have lots of moving parts to them, right? Now this one is still small, right? I just fit it on 2 pages, but let's go ahead and see what's going on here, all right? So the first thing I want to point out is that we really do just have 2 12-bar blues here, okay? So within these 2 circles, we have 2 regular 12-bar blues. Now some things that I have added that are very common in any arrangement is, for example, we have an intro, right? And we also can have a little bit of something to break up in between multiple sections of 12-bar blues, right? Sometimes that can get a little monotonous, so maybe we want to break it up. And so a lot of times you'll have this bridge, or it can also be called a shout section, right? This shout section comes pretty early. It comes after the first 12-bar blues. A lot of times the bridge or the shout section comes a little bit later in a longer piece, but this is a short piece, right? So I had to fit it in where I could. So we have an intro and we have a shout chorus. Now, what also is going to happen here is we're going to have some fancy repeat marks, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to read all the way from the intro to the very end of the 2nd page where it says DS coda, and we have a double bar line, all right? And what that means is that we're going to the signal, and that is right here, okay? So really what happens is you're going to play a 12-bar blues, you're going to have your shout section, you're going to play another 12-bar blues, and then you're going to play the 12-bar blues for one last time. Except this time, when you get to here on this double bar line, see now the first time we just read through that, you never go to the coda on the first time. That's always for after you've taken the designo or the da capo, okay? So what's gonna happen here is we will jump down to this section. And what that does is actually these 2 bars and these 2 bars are exactly the same, okay? But the difference is that these 2 measures right here are meant to do what we call turn the form around. It's a turnaround. It brings you back to the top so that you can either play a new section like a bridge or a shout chorus, or it brings you to the next section of another series of 12-bar blues, right? So a lot of times we have turnarounds at the end of our 12-bar blues, but when we are at the end, we need an ending, okay? So this doesn't turn us around. It ends us and lands us on this nice F dominant 7th chord right here, okay? Now, a lot of the blues stuff that I wrote today is some of the basic stuff that I've been doing throughout this blues review on this Dominant Seventh series. And so I kind of tried to codify it for you. I think I did some of this in improvisation, and I wanted to get it written down so that you could use some of these techniques. They're very easy, they're not that fancy, but they're reliable, they sound good, and they're by all means meant to be expanded upon. So if you kind of like how it goes this way, but you're like, but I added this little thing here, that's totally fine, right? Turn these into your own voice. I didn't invent these. I've been using them for a long time. So we have a lot of, within the meat of our piece, we have a lot of just very basic things that I've been talking about this whole time. But then, so that's the basic part of the blues, but then there is the bassy part of the blues. So I did want to share some of my favorite big band jazz pianists, right? Because Count Basie really did become famous for not just the blues that he played, but the blues that he played in a big band setting, right? And so there are some Basie-isms. And for example, the intro, which is also the turnaround, is something that I have picked up from Basie over the years. The shout chorus is also in the style of Basie. And then one of my all-time favorite Basie endings, okay? Now, this is not the easiest ending in the world, but I gave you the fingers, and if you go slow enough and you break it down and you have patience, you can pick this ending up too, all right? It's not too hard. It's not inaccessible. It's not using anything too weird. It's just going to take a little patience, and if you need help with the fingers, I did provide that. Now here's the other thing. I did put a lot of finger suggestions on here, okay? And that is for those of you who really do need that, right? There are some people who would like the best possible solution suggested. But sometimes either that doesn't feel comfortable for you or you want to create your own, right? And that's okay. So these are not hard, fast rules, these fingers that I gave you. If you can think of a better way that is more efficient and works better for your anatomy, by all means, please do that, all right? Now, one last thing I want to show you is at the beginning of this 12-bar blues, you might think, oh man, this is pretty boring. There's nothing even going on in the right hand. But this is a bass solo, okay? And bass solos are great. And when you think about a bass, right, you have this massive instrument with a very large fretboard. You have to apply a lot of pressure to get those notes. And so, you know, sometimes as keyboardists and pianists, we can take playing notes for granted, right? All we have to do is push down a button and it comes out perfect. You know, even the piano tuner tunes the notes for us, right? We don't want to get concerned with that. But you know, a lot of string players are very concerned with their tone production, right? And so, you know, as a pianist, we are simulating like what it's like to play other instruments. So although it may be simple for us to get our notes out, we do want to put as much thought into those notes as a bass player would, because as a bass player is playing this, he wouldn't, or she would not be thinking how bored they were that they're just sitting here plucking out quarter notes. They would be focusing their entire energy and their heart onto grooving those notes as groovy as possible and getting a nice fat tone, getting their finger right in the right place and producing that. So, you know, even though it sounds sort of counterintuitive, right, we need to not just take our instrument for granted, and we need to focus as much on our notes as a string instrument would. Even though it technically is easier for us, you can put just as much soul into your notes as they do. Let's take a listen to the Basically Blues. you enjoyed today's lesson, you can find the show notes, the music, and much more on my website at pianodojo.com. Again, this today wraps up our dominant 7th chords and our triplet 8th note syncopation. Next week we will be moving on to 16th notes and minor 7ths. And until then, happy practicing.